Hey guys, how's it going? My name is MrHurriicane, and today I'm here to talk Madden 16 for the second time. More news released today at E3 during the EA press conference, as Madden NFL 16 will feature a new mode titled Draft Champions. Now, the information I'm going to be giving you guys is from an article from EA Sports, and that article is linked in the description below. I'm giving you guys kind of the highlights of the article, and then I'll give you my take on the mode. Now, before I get started, just one more thing. If you're brand new to my channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button for more Madden 16 news, as if they keep releasing news, I'll be talking about it. I love football, I love playing Madden, and it's the primary game of my channel. And so let's get into this brand new mode, Draft Champions. What do we have here? Well, what they were talking about during the press conference was basically Madden meets fantasy football. Now, you might be thinking they already have this with Ultimate Team, but there are some very clear differences between these two modes, and it begins with how your team is assembled. In Draft Champions, you're going to go through 15 rounds and select one player each round. Now, you're not given a giant pool of players to pick from like you would in fantasy football. Instead, you're given 3 players, and you choose one of those 3. It's an interesting way to build a team because you're only going to add 15 players of your choice, and the rest of your team is going to be made up of what seems to be a lot of just players in the 70s for overall. My guess is that every time you do a draft, the 15 players you draft, no matter who they are likely going to be the 15 highest rated players on your team. And so you're not going to fill all 22 starting positions. You have to spend your picks wisely. And I do like, you would like to build your entire team and whatnot, but this does add some more elements of strategy just because you're only picking 15 players. So what are you going to prioritize? Do you want a strong offensive line? A shutdown secondary? You can build up certain parts of your team in this mode, but you can't build them all up, and that's what I love. Your team is going to have some weaknesses that you're going to have to try making up for, and everybody's going to be dealing with that at the same time with the 15 players that they select leading their team in whatever way they decided to draft. So let's move on. You draft this team, you take your 15 players, throw them on your base team, and now you got your squad. You can take that team online and play a very short season. This is kind of a rinse and repeat mode, and so it seems like they want to make this possible to have the experience of a full season in one night. So you do the draft, you have your fun with that, and then you play a few games with your team, I'm assuming on like 4-minute quarters or whatnot, and then you can do it all again the next day. Now, I'll go more into how your team is created, as you'll first begin by selecting your coach. And again, you pick one of 3 coaches, and this is where they adopt some features from Ultimate Team as you get a style. And the players you draft can also fit certain styles, and you can try to build a strong zone defense. You guys know I love to run the cover 3. It's the way I love to play online especially. And then when you pick your coach, you get those styles, and then I love this next feature. You get their offensive and defensive playbooks as well. And what I like about this is it makes you try new things. You can't just use the playbook, that has all the plays you like and all the hot routes you can put on certain plays. This is going to take you a little bit outside your comfort zone perhaps and make you try out some new things, some new team models, new playbooks, and try those out. I'm going to love that because I always go custom playbooks with my franchise teams, and I'll take plays from all sorts of playbooks, and so I'm sure I'm going to find a lot of cool stuff by playing this mode. After you select your coach, your base team is then generated, which they say is playable but relatively low rated. And I'm assuming that not everybody's base team is going to be the same. That would get very boring quick, especially because that base team is going to matter. You have 15 draft picks, but you have 7 starters at minimum that are going to be from that base team. I'm already thinking about when I go and spend a bunch of time making my team, and then it's one of my base players making a big play that helps me win a game. And so I hope that they do a good job differentiating what players show up in those base teams, because they are important, just not as important as the 15 players you're drafting, obviously. I'll quote the article at this next section. Every draft will be different. There may be a number of highly rated wide receivers and halfbacks in one draft, and a number of safeties or linebackers in another. Every pick will be an upgrade over the base team, and draft champions will give players tough decisions in every round. And so it's going to be tough to kind of think about what model you want your team to be from the beginning, because you don't know if you want to run a ground and pound offense, but you may have a draft that's loaded with wide receivers and you're more focused on O-line and other positions. And so you may have to change your ideas on the fly based on what players are offered to you during the draft. And so we move on. Unlike a typical draft, the quality of players to choose from rises and falls from round to round. One draft may create a defensive juggernaut, while another could create a power running game behind a dominant offensive line. And with these next two images here, I really like what they're doing, because this first one has Rob Gronkowski, Darrelle Revis, and Cam Chancellor. 2 90s and a 91, all 3 different positions. And so I like that it's not just pick from one of 3 tight ends, or pick from one of 3 defensive players. They give some variety and make you make decisions. There's an element of strategy here, and that's what I'm hoping this game proves to really offer, is a strategic way to kind of play quick little bursts of the game in a fun, different way. And so the second picture shows Jason Kelce, Phil Loadholt, and Ruben Randall. Now we go down to an 83, 82, and an 80, and this time we have 2 offensive linemen and 1 wide receiver. I'm not a huge fan of this next part just because of personal preference, but legends are in this mode. And if I'm not mistaken, I see some new names here. I don't play a ton of MUT, so I could be wrong, but we have Christian Okoye, Terrell Davis, and Bruce Smith. You can choose from one of 3 legends, and so I typically avoid legends in MUT. It looks like I can't completely avoid them here in Draft Champions, but that's going to be okay. This next image shows a wider disparity in overall. We have Brandon Brooks, an 85 overall guard, Fred Jackson, who was an 80 overall halfback, or Delaney Walker, an 83 overall tight end. Now, Fred Jackson fits this person's scheme, but would you rather go for a player of a higher overall, or maybe a position you just value more? I'd probably take Delaney Walker in this situation because he's versatile, and come on, I'm not going to replace the touchdown machine Matt Asiata. Fun fact, everybody, Matt Asiata was tied for 3rd in rushing touchdowns last year. He is the touchdown machine for a reason. Moving on. We spent a lot of time talking about how these teams are assembled. I believe we have a good grasp on that. Now let's get to actually playing the game. We have, okay, I'll quote this. After the draft, it's time to take the new squad onto the field. Choosing a solo draft gives players up to 3 games against AI opponents, and so you can play head-to-head games or against the computer if you wish. With each victory, the quality of competition will increase until the championship game in the brand new Draft Champions Stadium. I have not seen the stadium, I hope it looks cool. Players looking for a real challenge can jump into a head-to-head draft, while drafts happen independently. Taking on the best players in Madden NFL 16 will provide the ultimate test for your drafting skills. Win 4 games in a row to become true draft champion. The number of games in each event are relatively low in order to preserve the Madden Fantasy in a Night feel for draft champions. Even if you get knocked out, you can jump right back in and draft another team. And so it looks like if you lose multiple games, they have one checkbox there. If you lose 2 games, looks like you have to draft an all-new team. And so like I mentioned, very rinse, repeat, and you can go through with your team in one night, begin the next night with a brand new team. Also, look in the top right corner of this final screenshot, it shows 78 overall. And so it looks like after you draft a team, we're looking at low 80s or high 70s potentially for the quality of your team. I believe I have hit all the important notes, and so that, guys, is Draft Champions. Let me know what you think of this new mode coming to Madden 16 in the comment section below. But I'm actually very excited to try this out. Obviously, I'm a franchise guy, and nothing's going to change that. But this seems like a fun mode that's going to require a little bit of strategy. You're going to have to build different types of teams, it seems, and the draft is not going to be the same every time. And I'd actually argue that there's more strategy, from what I've read, more strategy in this mode than Ultimate Team. Because in Ultimate Team, you build a full team. You can have every player in the high 90s if you want. Of course, you want the right players for your scheme and the way you're going to play the game, no matter what they're rated. But I think that this is going to offer a little bit more of a strategic way to play Madden than Ultimate Team does. Because you're only taking 15 players in the draft. You have at least 7 starters that are going to be from that base team. Every team in Draft Champions is going to have weaknesses, compared to MUT, where some teams will have weaknesses, but after a while, plenty of teams have no weaknesses. Personally, I don't like those teams in Ultimate Team that are comprised of just nothing but players in the high 90s. And so I think that while I do play Ultimate Team every year, mostly at the beginning, once we get into the season more and everybody's team starts to get stacked, I may transition more to this mode if I'm already not playing it more than Ultimate Team. What I'm going to have to see is how I prefer playing with an Ultimate Team that I can build over the course of the entire year versus having the constant revolving door of a new team in Draft Champions. And I think I'm going to play both from the start. We'll see how long I stick with these two modes, but I think I'm going to like Draft Champions. I think these two modes offer two very different experiences because one's very fast-paced, one is obviously gradual or at whatever pace you want it to be. But obviously, there's a lot of different elements there with only having 15 players you draft in Draft Champions, and I just think it's going to be more strategic, and it fits me more. And so I would say right now I'm more excited for Draft Champions than Ultimate Team at this point, but I still want to play Ultimate Team and see how it's going to be in Madden 16. And so I think that is it for this video, guys. Let me know what you think of the brand new mode coming to Madden 16 Draft Champions. And if any other news is released anytime soon about Madden, I'll be talking about that here on my channel. So subscribe if you have not already. And please, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like. That is it for today, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a great day.